So we'll have Katha Friday evening, Saturday morning and evening, and Sunday feast talk. So please do join us next weekend for Amarendra Prabhu's wonderful Katha. Okay. Good. Okay, so we'll welcome Maharaj and we'll have the talk by His Holiness Bir Krishna Goswami Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Also, we are very blessed because this week is the Avir Baba of His Divine Grace Bhakti Chur Maharaj. And today we had a little celebration for Bhakti Chur Maharaj. So great Vaishnava who had overwhelming compassion for all the conditioned souls. He really personified this verse, Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyevaja Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Kripa Sindhu means an ocean of compassion. So all my God brothers, I could say that he definitely exhibited that, and not only compassion for all the conditioned souls, but basically friendship with all the conditioned souls. And he was such a good friend to me, and we're just lamenting his departure, but we know that in the future we will get a chance to associate with him again. As Prabhupada said, we have an ISKCON in the spiritual world, and everyone's going back except for Mr. Nair. I'm not going to tell you who Mr. Nair is, so don't worry. But, you know, maybe Prabhupada will feel some compassion and let Mr. Nair back to the spiritual world. So today is the combined holiday of Lord Vamanadev's appearance, number one, and Srila Jiva Goswami's appearance. So we're going to try to speak and show something about Jiva Goswami and Lord Vamana, the incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we'll chant Jai Radhamadava first. Jaya Radhamadava Kunya Bihari Jaya Radhamadava Kunya Bihari Mupidana Malabar Girivaradhase Mupi Janabalaba Girivaradhase Yasonanandana Rajajana Ranjana Yasonanandana Rajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tera Manachate Yamuna Tera Manachate Jayarad Madhuva Kunyabihave Jayarad Madhuva Kunyabihave Gopi Janabalava Girivarad Ante Gopi Shanabalaba Giri Bharat Hare Yasodanandana Rajajanuranjana Yasodanandana Rajajanuranjana Yamuna Tera Banachanti Yamuna Tera Banachanti Jayarango Madhva Kunja Bihati Jayaradhu Madhva Kunja Bihati Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Paravidakacharya also Teta Satashi Shimad His Divine Grace Abhaya Chalananda Bhaktivedanta Goswami Shila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Acharya Shila Prabhupada Ki Jai Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Shila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Bravo Nityananda Shidwaita Gadadha Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrindagijaya Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Saya Mukunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Kijai Vrindavanam Kijai Jagadada Sami Kijai Yamunamai Kijai Shimari Lasidevi Kijai Saveda Bhakta Vrindagijai Gaur Premalanda Hari Hari Bol. All glory is the assembled devotees. All glory is the assembled devotees. All glory is the assembled devotees. All glory is to Shri Guru and Gauranga Shila Prabhupada Ki Jai Namahom Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shimati Bhaktivedanta Samani Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharni Nivashesha Shunyavadi Paschachate Shatarni. So today is the glorious appearance day of Lord Vamana, the dwarf Brahman incarnation of the Lord. And of course, he is one of the Dasha avatars, the 10 basically most famous avatars of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And as we know, Advaita, Chuta, Nadir, Ananta, Rupa, Madhyam, Purana, Purisham, Navyoganam Cha, Vedeshu, Durlabam, Adurlabam Atma Bhakto, Govindamadi Purisham, Tamaham Bhajami. That all the appearances of the Lord, at least the Vishnu Tattva appearances, because there are also Shakti Tattva appearances, we're not going to get into those definitions right now, but all the Vishnu Tattva appearances are basically the same person. Advaita, there's no duality. Achyuta is infallible. Ananta Rupam, unlimited forms. We know about these 10 primary incarnations, but there's actually so many incarnations. Srila Prabhupada described they're like the waves of the ocean. And not only that, Prabhupada said that Krishna has incarnations in every species of life. And there's 8,400,000 species of life. And that's a lot of incarnations. And sometimes Krishna mixes and matches species of life. Nrsingadev, Lord Nrsingadev, that's it, mix and match. Half man, half lion. So there's more than 8,400,000 different incarnations. And of course, Krishna has many different appearances in his human-like form too. There's Ram, there's Balaram, and of course, Krishna. So it's unlimited, but they're all the same person. And Krishna is appearing to enjoy himself. There's the esoteric and exoteric reasons for Krishna's appearance. Esoteric means something that's not really apparent, or maybe a little hidden, a secret, his personal reasons. And exoteric means paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya shadushkritam. So Lord Vamanadev is one of those incarnations. And by the mercy of his divine grace, Srila Prabhupada, we are getting this information about the Lord's incarnations. So there's the Vamana avatar. And so in the Dashantavar avatar slokas by Jayadev Goswami, there's this beautiful verse. Chalayasi vikramane balim adbhukta vamana paranakanira janita jana pavana keshavadrita vamana rupa jaya jagadisha hare. I was waiting for that. Jagadisha, right? Which means, oh Keshava, and that's in reference to Krishna. O Lord Hari, who have assumed the form of a dwarf Brahmana, all glories to you. A wonderful dwarf. By your massive steps, you deceive King Bali, and by the Ganges water that is emanated from the nails of your lotus feet, you deliver all living beings within this world. So before Lord Vamana's appearance, a little history, there was a big fight between the demigods and the demons. And so there's continually having these different fights, and sometimes the demons take birth on the Earth planet, like they did about 5,000 years ago, like they're doing right now. Yeah, they're right now. Who amongst you is a demon? Prabhupada even said sometimes Kali Chelas will make their way into a society of devotees. So one can understand who is demon, sorry, and who is a devotee by their words and actions, behavior. So one should not accept anything blindly just because someone may be wearing saffron, or someone may be acting as a religious preceptor, or someone may have a Brahmin thread. Everything should be understood according to qualities. So there was a fight between the demons and the devotees in the celestial realm. And at this particular fight, the devotees, or the divas, or adittis, they won. Not only did they won, but they killed a lot of the demons, particularly one particular demon. Now, he's not really a demon, but he's in a demon family. He's the grandson of Prahlad Maharaj. His name is Bali Maharaj. So sometimes, that's what we were talking about before, you can't really judge by what family one is born in. For example, the Namacharya, or the teacher of the holy name in Kali Yuga, is Haridas Thakur, who was born in a Malecha Yavana family. So we have to examine things by their quality. So he's a devotee, but he also has his service of being in charge of the demons. And they're fighting against the demigods. You may say, so why would he fight against the demigods if he's actually a devotee? Well, the interesting thing is, the reason Krishna allows these sorts of fights and the competition between the demigods and the demons to go on is that Krishna wants the demigods to take shelter of him. Like Prabhupada said, without opposition, where's the chance for glorious victory? So many times we wonder, why are we struggling so hard, establishing temples, distributing books? It's so hard. Why doesn't Krishna just make it easy? We just sit down, and people just like flock to the temple. Throw Lakshmi at us. The government gives us permission to build a big temple without any rigmarole, red tape. Well, Krishna is just like Srila Prabhupada. When Srila Prabhupada wanted to establish a temple in Mumbai, and my godbrother Jagat Purush will confirm this, there was so much opposition. At one point, the opposition had police come in to try to tear apart a temporary temple. And there were ladies trying to protect the deities, and the police were just like grabbing them. And so, and then anyway, there's so many struggles which we don't have time to talk about. But this actually brings one closer to Krishna when one has a struggle. Easy life and Krishna consciousness don't go together. And actually, there's no easy life in this world. Janma mrityu jara vyadi dukkha doshana darshanam. What's so easy about this world? It's not. So anyway, so they were fighting, and many of these Daityas were killed. In fact, even Bali Maharaj, the grandson of Prahlad Maharaj, was killed. So this whole story is in the 8th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, if you want to read it. It's a continual back and forth between the Daityas and the Aditya's sons, back and forth, back and forth. So anyway, so Bali Maharaj is killed, but the demons have a special secret method to come back to life. And that secret method is known as Shukracharya's Mrityu Sanjivani, the Sanjivani mantra. And if you worship Shukracharya, maybe he'll help you come back to life too. Anyway, Shukracharya is known as Shukracharya because he's a seminal guru. Even though he's not a pure devotee of the Lord, sometimes he will advocate worshiping the Supreme Personality of Godhead for one's own purpose. Other times he'll advocate worshiping Shiva. It's just whatever works, just to achieve his particular purposes. But he's not a pure devotee, although he does come in contact with Krishna and he does pray to Krishna. So he has this Mrityu Sanjivani mantra, and he brings Bali Maharaj back to life. And Bali Maharaj began to serve Shukracharya after that. And Shukracharya became so pleased with Bali Maharaj that he engaged him in this particular sacrifice called the Vishwajit Yagya. And this Yagya propitiated a chariot and horses, a flag, bow, and quivers of arrows. And Maharaj Prahlad, who was Bali Maharaj's grandfather, gave Bali an eternal garland of flowers. And Shukracharya gave him a conch shell. So with this in mind, because they were worshiping their guru very enthusiastically, in fact, more enthusiastically than the demigods were worshiping their guru. And they had great devotion. I mean, their devotion was mixed because of what the guru had done for them in terms of some material acquirement. So anyway, with this in mind, they challenged the demigods again. And there was a big battle. Bali Maharaj was blowing on his conch shell, and he attacked Indra's kingdom. So Indra went to his spiritual master, Brahaspati, and said, "What are we going to do?" And Brahaspati, he said, "Nothing you can do. They're worshiping Shukracharya so well, they've become endowed with this power. So even the demigods can't win. So our only hope is to go to Vishnu. When in doubt, go to Vishnu." And so, but in the meantime, you should all leave and hide yourselves so you can't be attacked. And so Bali was engaged by Shukracharya in 100 Ashvamedha sacrifices, and he became very, very powerful. In the meantime, there was Aditi, who was the mother of the demigods, and she was very upset that her children had lost their particular situation in the heavenly planets, and she wanted to do something about it. So she remembered her husband Kashyapa. And here you see Kashyapa. He has a lot of wives. I don't know if you could read all the tiny print there, but he has children who are snakes, children who are birds, children who are demigods, children who are demons. Anyway, he's a Prajapati. This is a picture of a family reunion. I don't know if they ever got together like that. But this is what it looked like. So she goes to her husband. Her husband actually is in meditation, and he's been in meditation for a long time. And she's waiting for him to come out of meditation. And she has to wait for some time. So then she implores him, help my children regain the heavenly kingdom again. So he's thinking, this is Maya. Because she's very attached. As we know, one gets very attached. So the striya, mituni bab maitom, ayor ritu, ridi agranti aho, ato grahak shetra sutapta banat. So one becomes very, very attached because of their bodily relationships. My children, my home, my country, right? One becomes a Deshbhakta. You know what Deshbhakta is? You worship your country. You put your hand to your heart, right? We learned this when I was in school. We had the prayers to our country every morning at school as we raised the deity, the flag. so Kashyapa, he's advising his wife, this is material attachment. Just give that up. Just see everyone equally. Pandita samadarshana, as Krishna says in the Gita. Yet she insists and says, I can't do it. Okay, honesty. So he says, all right, I'll give you this particular practice that you can perform for 12 days. It's called the Hayovrata. And if you do this for 12 days, and it also entails, it's not only drinking milk and things like that, but also entails worshiping the Vaishnavas, worshiping the deities, performing other spiritual activities, rising at a certain time in the morning. And she agrees to do that. Actually, very difficult procedure. We have a procedure that's easier to attain the Lord's mercy. What is that procedure? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Ram. One shouldn't even compare thousands, millions of Ashwamedha sacrifices to one chanting of Hare Krishna. Cannot compare. Everything is there. All the holy places are there within the name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So after she performed this Payavrata ceremony for 12 days, the Lord was very pleased with her, and he appeared before her. He's not yet Vamana. He appeared before her with 4 hands, dressed in yellow garments, and she immediately offered prayers to him, asking, before she could even ask, the Lord said, I know your desire, so I will fulfill it, and I will become your son. So with this in mind, he entered into Kashyapa, and Kashyapa transmitted or gave the Supreme Personality of Godhead to his wife. And she became pregnant with the Supreme Personality of Godhead in her womb. So after the period of pregnancy, Lord Vamanadev appeared from the womb, but he didn't appear as a dwarf Brahman at that point. He had 4 arms with conch shell, disc, lotus, and club. And he was blackish of hue. He was dressed again in yellow garments, and he appeared at an auspicious moment, that's today, the Shravana Dwadasi, the day after Ekadasi. And this is also called Abhijit, the victory star, had risen at this particular time. And all the planets, the higher planets, the demigods, uh, all became very happy. The cows, the brahmanas, and even the seasons were happy because of the appearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even Lord Brahma came to pray to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then the Lord assumed the form of a dwarf, Lord Vamanadev. And the great sages awarded him with different things. Kashyap Muni performed the birthday ceremony, and he was given the sacred thread by Brahaspati, the demigod. And the goddess presiding over the planet Earth, that's Bhumi, gave him something. The deity of the heavenly planets, his mother, Lord Brahma, Kuvera, the seven Saptarishis, and others. Then Lord Vamanadev decided to visit the sacrificial arena where the sacrifice was going on of Bali Maharaj. And when he got there, he exhibited the Brahman effulgence. So the Brahman effulgence is the bodily effulgence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Incidentally, it's mentioned that Brahman effulgence, although many people consider it to be impersonal, is comprised and composed of all these jiva souls who wanted to merge into Brahman. And of course, as we know, that's not a permanent situation. After some time, because the soul's natural inclination is to be active, those souls come back down either to the earth planet or somewhere else. So he exhibited that Brahman effulgence, and he was, it's described, wearing a belt of straw, deerskin, upper garment of deerskin, a sacred thread, and carrying in his hands a danda, an umbrella, and water pot. And because of this effulgence, all the priests were diminished in their particular effulgence, and they all stood up to welcome Lord Vamanadev. And after washing the Lord's feet, because they got up to wash the Lord's feet, Bali Maharaj immediately accepted the water on his head from the Lord's feet and felt completely purified. Then Bali Maharaj inquired of Lord Vamanadev of his welfare and requested Lord Vamanadev to ask for anything he wanted. Now, remember, Bali Maharaj is in charge basically of the whole universe at this particular juncture. So what would you ask for? I don't want to think about it. Well, anyway, I would ask for pure devotional service. That's what we should ask for. Pure devotional service, the ability to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And when we're chanting, that's what we should ask for. Mama Janmani, Janmanishvare, Bhavatad Bhakti Haituki Twaye. The Danam, the Janam, the Sundarim, Kavitam Va, Jagadisha Kamaye. Mama Janmani, Janmanishvare, Bhavatad Bhakti Haituki Twaye. That we don't want wealth or beautiful ladies or handsome men. All we want, or fame, or disciples, all we want is pure devotional service, life after life. So Vamana was asked that, and Lord Vamana said, I just want 3 steps of land. Whoops. Do that. Hold on. Okay. Didn't want that one. So he just asked for 3 steps of land. And Bali Maharaj said, you are not very intelligent because I own the whole universe here. You know, I've taken over the position of Indra, and I can give you anything you want. A planet even, a Brahmin wife, riches. And Lord Vamana replied, and this is actually very instructive for us. If one is not satisfied with 3 steps of land, one will not be satisfied with any of them. And in the Bhagavad Gita, 3rd chapter, text 35, we find this verse. Does anyone know that verse? Avatam, Jnanametena Jnanino Nichivayana Kama Rupena Kontia. dushparena analena cha. Thus, one's consciousness is covered by one's enemy, Nitya Virina. Who is the Nitya Virina? Kama Rupena, the form of lust. Kunti, oh son of Kunti. And what does this Kama Rupena do? Dushparena analena cha. It is never satisfied. Never satisfied. So therefore, we over endeavor to get things that are unnecessary. We have too many sets of clothes, especially you ladies. Our houses may be too big. Like they say in America, we have these, what, Mick mansions. Heard that before? No. You know, people have sometimes like have a 20-room house and there's only a husband and wife. So that's over collecting and over endeavoring. So anyway, so he makes this point and he says, just give me 3 steps of land. And then Bali Maharaj says, okay. But Shukracharya, Bali Maharaj's guru, understands that this is the supreme personality of Godhead, and he's being very tricky. So he said, don't give this land. Withdraw your promise. And it's all right to break your promise when you're actually subduing others and joking, responding to danger, or acting for the welfare of others. And actually, this is true to a certain extent, that if you're protecting others, you can lie, certain circumstances. And if you don't lie, then that's irreligious. Like Grandfather Bhishma, he should have broken his promise to side with the Kauravas, or to side whoever was the emperor, which happened to be the Kauravas at that particular time, Dhritarashtra. He should have broken that in order to protect the Pandavas. So he understood that. But in most cases, you don't break your word. So Shukracharya advised like that. But Bali Maharaj was determined. He thought, because the duty of a householder to maintain the principles of religion is improper to withdraw my promise to a Brahmin brahmachari. To fail or fail to honor a promise given to a brahmachari is never proper, for lying is the most sinful activity. In fact, there's the statement, the earth cannot bear the weight of a sinful liar. So he decides to give the 3 steps of land to Lord Vamana. So in order to signify doing this, there's this Vedic method of you pour some water from a water pot onto the recipient's hands. And so he took his water pot up and he was getting ready to pour some water onto Lord Vamanadev's hands. But then Shukracharya thought, I got to stop this. I don't want my disciple to lose everything, because if he loses everything, what do I have? Right? You know, the guru was interested in his dakshin. So he's thinking, what do I have? And so he makes himself really, really small. And he enters into the spout of the water pot. And so Bali is going like this, like this, like this. The water's coming up. What's the problem? So Lord Vamanas understands what's happening. So he picks up a little kusha grass. And what he does is he pierces or pokes out the eye of Shukracharya. So that's why you see, of course, hopefully you don't see Shukracharya, but that's why if you see Shukracharya, you'll see he's like one eye and blinded. So he's so determined. And so then he pours the water out. And Bali's thinking, even if he is Lord Vishnu, he takes everything away and arrests him, I should not envy him. But Shukracharya was so upset at this point that he cursed his disciple to be bereft of all opulence and eventually to be imprisoned by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Bali Maharaj, being so determined, did this. So then Lord Vamana immediately extended himself into a gigantic body. Bali Maharaj could see that the Lord was all pervading. Everything was resting in his body. He saw the Supreme Lord Vishnu, the yellow garments, Kastubamani, flower garland, and ornaments decorating his body. And gradually, the Lord covered the entire surface of the world and extended his body. He covered the entire sky. With his hands, he covered all directions. With his second footstep, he covered the upper planetary systems. And there was no vacant place to put his third step. So even with the second step, he reached the topmost planet, Brahmaloka, and he actually kicked a hole in the universe, and the Ganges came down. Then all the demigods, including Lord Brahma and great sages, began to worship him and offer their humble prayers to him. And they washed the Lord's lotus feet. Here you see the Ganges coming down. And Jambavan, I think you all know who Jambavan is, right? Jambavan circumambulated Lord Vamanadev many, many times. This was actually before he appeared in Lord Ram's pastimes. Jambavan is Chiranjiva. He lives for as long as this universe exists. And he takes place in many of the Lord's pastimes. And actually, each and every time Lord Rama appears, Jambavan appears with him. And Jambavan also was playing a musical instrument, bugle, and vibrating the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So anyway, so his nails pierced this universe and the Ganges came down. But then it was decided by Lord Vamanadev that Bali Maharaj had not fulfilled his promise to give 3 steps of land. So then he ordered that Bali Maharaj be arrested, and he was arrested by Garuda, who tied him up with the ropes of Varuna. Lord Bali Maharaj's associates began to try to attack Lord Vamanadev, and Lord Vamanadev's associates defeated Bali Maharaj's people and sent them down to the lower planetary region. So Bali Maharaj was reduced to a helpless position, and Lord Vishnu kept asking for the third step of land, and Bali Maharaj was unable to fulfill his promise. And then Lord Vishnu thought, we're going to have to send you down to the lower regions also. But then Bali Maharaj decided to surrender. And there's this famous quote, "O best of personality of Godhead, most worshipable of the demigods, if you think that my promise has become false, I shall certainly rectify matters to make it truthful. I cannot allow my promise to be false. Please, therefore, place your third step on my head." So here he is placing his third step on his head. There's many pictures of this. So that's called Atma Nivedanam. As we know, there's 9 processes of devotional service, beginning with Shravanam and Kirtanam. And so Atma Nivedanam means absolute, complete surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Bali Maharaj was also offering prayers to the Supreme Lord, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vamanadev, liberated Bali Maharaj by taking all of his possessions in a very tricky way. And at this particular point, Prahlad Maharaj appeared and prayed to Lord Vamanadev, and Vijaya Bali Maharaj's wife, also prayed. Being pleased with Bali Maharaj, the Lord offered him his disc to protect him and promised to remain with him in Sutala. In fact, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the doorkeeper of Bali Maharaj. And Bali Maharaj will actually become Indra in the future when the present Indra retires. Then the demigods took over heaven again, and Lord Vamanadev also remained in heaven. So by his expansion, he was in Sutala with Bali Maharaj, and then he remained in heaven, and he gave his association to Indra. He's the younger brother of Indra. Vamanadev is the younger brother of Indra. So that's the story of Lord Vamanadev. So because we have time, then we can talk about Srila Jiva Goswami and then take some questions. This is a very short slideshow here. So the six Goswamis of Vrindavan. The six Goswamis of Vrindavan are the immediate followers of His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. The first, not Prabhupada, sorry, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I'm thinking of Prabhupada all the time. Of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And they carried out the mission, Nana Shastra Vicharana Kinipano, said Dharma Samstapako, of establishing eternal religious principles by perusing all of the Vedic literatures. And they also carried out the mission of establishing temples in Vrindavan, the worship of Sri Krishna, and also establishing the holy places in Vrindavan. So amongst the Goswamis, today we are celebrating the appearance of Srila Jiva Goswami. So Srila Jiva Goswami was born about, we don't have the exact year, in about the year 1511, and he was the son of Vallabha, who was the brother of Rupa and Sanatan Goswamis, Sri Vallabha. And Sri Vallabha actually was a devotee of, Lord Ramchandra. It's an interesting story how Rupa and Sanatan Goswamis tried to convince Sri Vallabha, was called Anupama, to just worship Krishna. Of course, when we worship Krishna, all the different incarnations and expansions are there automatically. Ete Changsa Kalaksa, Krishna's tu Bhagavan Swayam. But he was unable to do that because of his great devotion to Lord Ramchandra. And eventually his brothers praised him for that, because one who is dedicated to worshipable deity and loyal to the worshipable deity, then it is very, very glorious. So when he was 3 or 4 years old, his uncles, that's Rupa and Sanatan Goswami, and also his father, Anupama, resigned from their managerial posts, and they were working for the Hussein Shah, who was the Muslim governor at that particular time, who ruled from 1493 to 19, sorry. And they met Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Ramankeli, and they decided to join Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So some of these details come from this book called the Bhakti Ratnakara, which was written by Narahari Sarika. So hearing that his fathers and uncle had decided to join Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then Jiva Goswami decided to join him also. Of course, he was very, very young when his father and uncles left. He was only about 3 or 4 years old. Some of the stories, some of the biographies say that he actually had association with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as a little baby or as a toddler. So in his early life, he had a dream. And in that dream, he dreamt that he was in the middle of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's kirtan. So he was overwhelmed by feelings of love. And soon, when he was 17 years old, left his home to go to Navadvip. And he went to Navadvip and he joined Lord Nityananda. And Lord Nityananda took him around the Navadvip Dham and showed him the Navadvip Dham Parikrama. So in this way, he had association with Lord Nityananda. So that's what's described here. Showed him all the place of Gora Lila. And it says here it's unclear whether Jiva Goswami met Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but there's some information that he did when he was a little baby. So Lord Nityananda touched Jiva's head with his feet. He showed incomparable mercy towards Jiva, lifting him from the ground and embracing him tightly. Then he ordered Jiva Goswami to go to Vrindavan to join his uncles. So actually, before he went to Vrindavan, he stopped in Benares, in Kashi, sorry, to study under Madhusudana Vichaspati, who was the disciple of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. In this way, he became educated. Actually, Jiva Goswami was considered to be basically the foremost Sanskrit scholar practically of all time. In fact, in Benares, there's a school, it's a Sanskrit school that's named after him. It's part of the university. And so he composed these elaborate literatures in Sanskrit, which we'll mention in a second. So he was ordered then to go to Brajamandal. And he arrived in Brajmandal, which is Vrindavan and the surrounding area, in 1541. And he was the youngest of all the Goswamis, initiated by Srila Rupa Goswami. And he served Srila Rupa Goswami in a very menial fashion. In fact, he would clean Rupa Goswami's clothes. He would edit Srila Rupa Goswami's literatures like the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And so he got a lot of association with Rupa Goswami and took initiation from Rupa Goswami. So there's some interesting stories, and I guess I'll skip these too, that I'm going to tell. That Jiva Goswami, because he was so educated and so devoted to his gurus, Rupa and Sanatana Goswami, he would always defend their reputation. Once upon a time, Rupa Narayan, a conquering Pandit, came to elicit what's called the Jaya Patra. The Jaya Patra is a victory certificate because he would challenge people to a debate, challenge different scholars to a debate. So he came to Vrindavan and he challenged Rupa and Sanatana Goswamis to a debate. And so they didn't want to waste any time with this particular individual. And so they decided, all right, you won, get out of here. But this Rupa Narayan, he said, all right, if you concede, you should sign this Jayapatra, which means a certificate that I have won. And so they agreed, okay, all right, do it. Let's get rid of him. Anything to get rid of this guy. Because a pure devotee is not interested in reputation or followers. So whatever you have to do. So then Rupa Narayan went to Srila Jiva Goswami and he showed the certificates and he said, are you going to debate me? And Jiva Goswami really didn't want to debate him, but it was essential that he defeat these two, not these two, but defeat Rupa Narayan, because Rupa Narayan had actually blasphemed his two spiritual masters, Rupa and Sanatana Goswami. So he engaged in argument and it took about 7 days. And in 7 days, he defeated Rupa Narayan. Rupa Narayan left Vrindavan, never to come back again. So Jiva Goswami went to Rupa Goswami and he said, look, this is what I've done. I've defeated him. And Rupa Goswami, being very upset that he had wasted his time in doing this, even though it was the proper Vaishnava thing to do, he said, you were too young when you took sannyas, and pride should not be part of the qualities of a sannyasi. So you don't belong in Vrindavan. So get out of Vrindavan. I mean, there's some different versions of the story. I mean, one version we heard this morning is that he was living on the bank of the Jamuna, but there was another version that I'm more familiar with, that he went to Mathura and was living in the hollow of a tree. and engaged in harsh austerities and left Vrindavan. And so after some time, Sanatana Goswami said to his brother Srila Rupa Goswami, what happened with Jiva? And Rupa Goswami said, I banished him from Vrindavan because he was too proud. And Sanatana Goswami said to Rupa Goswami, there is one of our spiritual masters, one of Lord Chaitanya's teachings that you are avoiding. And Rupa Goswami said, what? Primary teachings. Like, there's primary teachings that Namaruchi, Vaishnava Seva, and the other one is Jiva Doi. So he went through this whole list, and finally he came to Jiva Doi. And then he understood that he should have been more compassionate with Jiva Goswami. So he calls him back, and Jiva Goswami again has the association of Rupa and Sanatana Goswami. So after the disappearance of Rupa and Sanatana Goswami, Jiva Goswami was established as the top teacher of Vaishnavism in our Sampradaya. And he taught everyone the truths of Krishna consciousness. Particularly, he elaborated on something called Achincha Beta Beta Tattva. That means simultaneous oneness and difference inconceivably. So that means, just to translate it to common English, how the Lord, in one sense, is everything, and in another sense is different from everything. And the typical example Prabhupada used was the sun and the sunshine. How in one sense you could say, let the sun in, but you're not letting the sun into your house because the sun would burn your house down and cremate you immediately. You were letting the sun shine in. But in one sense, they're one and different simultaneously. So the Jiva souls, we're not talking about Jiva Goswami, the Jiva souls are actually, Jiva souls means individual souls, are actually in one sense non-different and different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Non-different in quality and different in quantity. So he did many other things, such as establishing the Vishwa Vaishnava Sabha, which is a world association of Vaishnavas, a Rupanuga Yoga Pith, an educational facility. And his spirituality very much impressed Akbar, who was a very liberal Mughal emperor. In fact, Akbar wanted to bring all the different religions together so they could work together. And so he even gave Akbar a vision in this place called Nidhiban, which is in Vrindavan. And Akbar helped him construct temples in Vrindavan. And he made Akbar promise never to hunt in the Vrindavan area. So eventually he established the Radha Damodar temple. And of course, the Radha Damodar temple is the transcendental headquarters of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, from which Srila Prabhupada planned his expansion of the Krishna consciousness movement. So the original deities, Radha Damodar, are in Jaipur, and these deities were fashioned by Rupa Goswami. Very, very interesting. So it's a picture of the deities. And he also, because of his great expertise, not only in Sanskrit and in languages in general, he also was very expert in regular dealings. I don't want to say material dealings, but legal dealings and other dealings. So devotees like Raghunath Das Goswami, who are reluctant to engage in any sort of legal affairs or any sort of dealing with money, engaged Srila Jiva Goswami in managing, especially managing the excavation and managing the legalities regarding Radha Kund. So Janavamata and visited, who was the wife of Lord Nityananda, visited Srila Jiva Goswami in Vrindavan twice with her many followers. And he started book distribution, the first book distributor. And how did he do that? Because he had 3 Shiksha disciples, Srinivasacharya, Narottama Das Thakur, and Shaimananda, who who we gave copies of the books of the Goswamis to, and they went to Bengal and eventually distributed the Goswami books in Vrindavan. So he compiled over 25 large books, and he established the philosophical basis for the Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy, especially with his one famous series of books called the Shat Sandarbhas. And these deal with everything from ontology, epistemology. Epistemology means how do you know what you know? So this first of the Sandarbhas is called the Tattva Sandarbha, which deals with how can you be sure of anything. And in this Tattva Sandarbha, he establishes the Srimad Bhagavatam as the ultimate incomparable source of knowledge, of philosophical and spiritual knowledge. So here's a list of some of his books. So he passed away in 1608, and of course his deity is the Pratibhu deity is still being worshipped in the Radha Damodar temple in Vrindavan, and his Samadhi tomb is on the grounds of the Radha Damodar temple, and his Bhajan Kutir is near Lalita Kund in the Radha Kund area. And here's the picture of inside the temple and the deities of Srila Jiva Goswami. Shishi Radha Damodar today. Ijai. So today we are commemorating his appearance day. It's very important to commemorate the appearance days and disappearance days of great personalities. So Srila Jiva Goswami ki jai. Lord Vamanadev ki jai. Okay. Does anyone have any quick questions? It's almost time. Questions? Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So the question is, what does it mean to surrender? What it means to surrender is that we understand the Lord's desire and we dedicate ourselves to fulfilling whatever mission and service the Lord has given us. And how do we understand the Lord's desire? Not from music, but how do we understand the Lord's desire? From the words of the Lord's devotees. That's how we understand what the Lord wants. And so we are very fortunate to have the association of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada, and his faithful followers, so we can ascertain the Lord's desire for us. Okay? And so, of course, Bali Maharaj, he directly had the Lord. But it's said that the Lord's devotee is more merciful than the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Bali Maharaj had everything taken away from him. So the Lord's devotee won't do that to you. You don't have to worry. Okay. So right now, I have to apologize because I have to go. We have a online meeting in about our Charlotte Center because the devotees there have purchased land in an ideal location right near the city of Charlotte. And we're planning to build a temple, and they're waiting for me to come online. I'm not going to drive there tonight, but they're waiting for me to come online so I can advise them and help them raise some funds to build the temple. Like Prabhupada wanted every town and village temple. And so now Charlotte, which is one of the major cities in the United States, is going to have a temple. Very well. Okay. All glory is to His divine grace. Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. So, thank you all so much. So, first, let's express our gratitude to Maharaj for such a wonderful class on the glories of Vaman Dev and the glories of Srila Jiva